Hi, my Queeniez, Kingiez, and Royalties, and welcome to the Elle Says podcast. And you are listening to the Queen herself, Elle. How is everyone feeling today? How is everyone doing today? I hope if you weren't feeling the best, you are feeling better now. And today I'm feeling a little anxious, I shall say, about what we are going to talk about today. And today on Elle Says podcast, today Elle says, sometimes change is necessary in order to grow into your best self. So today on Elle Says podcast, we're going to talk about change. And we are going to talk about the steps towards positive change in your life. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to start this change series is because I have decided to start therapy again, and it's a part of the goals that I have for 2023, which is bettering my health mentally, physically, and my spirituality, growing in my spirituality. So I know the best way for me to do that is to go to therapy now, because if you've listened to my past episodes of my podcast, or one of my first episodes, I talk about how I've gone to therapy for 5 years, and I finally took a break. I've been going consistently for a long time, but I finally took a break. And 3 months. I have been without therapy for almost 3 months. And the reason why I stopped therapy in the first place was because ever since I was so when I first went to therapy, I was a teenager. So from teenage years to adulting to young adult, I'm 23 now. So about to be 24 on February 5th. So mark the date. Okay. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So yes, the reason why I stopped going to therapy after so long, I really needed time to discover who I was outside of therapy, or outside of just what my normalcy to my life was. At that time, I honestly reclused for a minute. Okay, I was really by myself, just with myself, just bettering myself in a way where my opinion on things, my thoughts, I could finally just hear my thoughts without advice or without anyone else. I just spent the majority of the time around myself so that I could get to know myself, for myself, by myself. And through that, ultimately, I ended up spending time with God, because He is with you always. And I started this podcast. I do not know why I was not able to start this podcast while I was in therapy. I just felt the need that I think it probably was a crutch at a time, because I didn't move and actively do all the things I wanted to do until I had no choice, because I knew that doing this podcast would better my mental health. I have not spoke about mental health in that specific way, when it pertains to my own mental health. I have 2 mental health disorders, a panic disorder and a depression disorder, and I've had them for quite some time now. And my diagnosis has changed from when I first started therapy to in the middle, and I started my podcast because it helps a lot with my mental health disorders, and I will elaborate more on everything when I do my mental health series, which maybe after this series, I'm not sure, but I do want to take a good amount of time to plan it, because it's very important to me, and mental health in my life is a big thing. So I don't want to just rush the series like that, or I want it to be, y'all know I'm working on my perfectionism. But yes. And having those disorders have been very tough, and I never dealt with it just on my own, and I've always had therapy with it. So in these like almost 3 months without it, I've done very, very well for myself, I shall say. It's just now there's new things I want to work on in therapy that I've discovered in myself. And now I want to better myself even more mentally. So I did the work with myself, and now I'm at the place where I'm ready for change and to grow in my mental health more. And I know I'm missing a couple tools that I need, mental tools that I need to better myself in that way. Which all of that, of course, leads to the change series that we are starting today, because it's going to feel very new for me. I'm not going back to therapy the same way I left. And I made this series because I change a lot. And I don't change in a long span of time. I change a lot in a short span of time. And what's I would say the unique part about that is change is one of my triggers for anxiety. So you can see how being me sometimes is a little rough, but I manage very well. And I just need more tools now. Instead of just managing, I want to grow, and I feel like going back now will be more about me and the things I want to work on, and less about when I used to go to therapy a lot. It was like everything I was dealing with around me, and it really wasn't what I was dealing with inside. So I feel very more open to be more open, as you say. Like, I feel in a place of transparency and honesty, opposed to before. It was just like I always felt that need of just dealing with things personally on my own, with God. Certain things I didn't want to admit, like all my struggles or what I really go through, or what's the thing that, like, those little things that I overlooked in my therapy journey are the things I'm going to work on now, which prompted me to make this series about positive changes and steps towards positive change. And we're going to start the episode, like, for real now that you have a backstory of what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about change, and we're going to talk about 5 steps towards positive change. And if you are wanting to make changes in your life, positive changes in your life, then these are some steps that I took to make and come up to the decision of making these positive changes in my life. Which the first change I want to make in my life is going to therapy and bettering my mental health in a way that I didn't before, because there was like little parts that was cut off that now I'm more open to and ready to get to know myself better in the parts that I've kind of just limited those areas and haven't really spent time to work on those things. Those are the things I want to work on now, and therapy is such a blessing and a privilege, and I'm an advocate for therapy. Like, if you have honestly tried all possible ways of self-help and you feel like you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, or even the feeling of helplessness or hopelessness, I would sincerely advocate for therapy. It's one of the ways that I have grown into who I am today, and it's honestly helped my relationship with God to grow closer with Him, because I understand myself more, so I can have a better relationship with God, because the relationship I have with myself is better, And yeah, that's my advocacy for therapy. And now we're going to start the episode, so let's go. So the first thing I did in preparation for this series was Google the word change, okay? And according to Google, change is to make someone or something different after, my bad. Change is to make someone or something different, alter, or modify. That's definition 1. Definition 2 is to replace something with something else, especially something of the same kind that is newer or better. Substitute one thing for another. When I read those definitions, I was like, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make my life better. I'm trying to take the parts that I struggle with and get better in those areas and create more positive change in my life based off the goals I have for 2023, which is bettering my health and my spirituality and growing in that. And this podcast has been very helpful with both. And I feel the more and more I podcast, the more and more open and the more I feel like myself, and the more I'm embracing this safe space I have made for myself and for all my lovely listeners. I love you all so much. You have been so supportive of this podcast. I just sometimes it's very overwhelming because, like I said, like I have a small community, so just to see 10s to 20s of people, it's just a lot. Like to have almost 100 plays in such a short amount of time, it's just, and I haven't even put out 10 episodes yet. It's like I honestly cannot express my gratitude enough. And I have to be honest, it is really hard to podcast some days, and that's another reason why therapy is something I'm going to start, because I want to be my best for all of you. And I love podcasting so much. I always want to show up. And I know my last episode, I was like not in the best place because I can get very annoyed with if stuff doesn't go exactly the way I want it to go. So I've been very much working on that. That's why I took that Friday off, because I'm working on just being okay. You know, if there's background noise, be okay with that. If it's like I'm not able to record because of this, then be okay with that. I'm just going to record when I can and be as organized as I can. And the things I can't control, I'm really working on letting them things go. Like my voice right now, it's waking itself up. It is 8:36 a.m. So it's waking itself up. It is early. And I like recording at this time. So we shall see. And let's get back to change. Okay, now let's get into the 5 steps towards positive change. All right. So, change, let me just say this and get this out the way. Change is not easy. Okay, change. I'm not going to tell you these are some 5 miracle steps. I'm telling you these are some practical steps to creating positive change in your life, or attempting to create positive change in your life, because you may have to do these steps over and over until it kind of sticks and you're just like, okay, but this is like ways to just start to do like 5 steps to start to implement some positive changes in your life. Okay, so are you ready? I'm ready. I feel good today, so let's flow. Okay, step 1 is to identify the positive changes you want to make in life. And it's like the first step to everything. Like, what do you want to change? What do you see in your life that you want to be better? What are areas in your life that seem negative that you want to be more positive? And asking yourself those questions can promote you to identify some positive changes that you want to make in your life. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to choose one of those changes that you want to work on the most. So when you want to change, there's probably like, I don't know, 5+ things you might want to change about your life if you're me. 1 or 2 if you're someone who really just, you got it, okay? And either way, however many changes you want to make in your life. Choose the one that means the most to you right now in this season, that is going to help you the most, and that is the one that you care about the most, and the change that you want to prioritize the most out of all the ones that you have made, written down or listed. And this can be a journal prompt for you. I can put these questions down in the little description area too as well, or post them on social media. Let me know, interact with me on social media. I am mainly on Instagram or Twitter, and at the end I will let you know my @ and everything of where you can contact me or tag me or whatever. Tag me, tweet me if you want to reach me. Okay. Okay, y'all know how my mind goes everywhere. Okay, back on track. So step 3 is, based off of the positive changes you choose, the one that you choose that you want to make, I have some journal prompts for you, okay? So based off the one priority change that you chose, ask yourself why you chose that as your priority positive change that you want to make in your life. And question 2 is, have you wanted to make this change before? And if so, what do you believe is the reason why you didn't? Okay? And so those are 2 journal prompts for you for step 3. So asking yourself these 2 journal prompts is going to help you so that you can gain more clarity on the positive change that you want to make. It'll also help you to identify the area you need to work the most on, or that you want to work the most on, or that you may need to work on to promote this positive change in your life. It just helps, it'll help give you more clarity on the positive change that you actually want to make in your life, okay? And step 4. So step 4 is start somewhere, okay? I said it in my first podcast episode, and how I started this whole podcast out is you have to start somewhere, okay? So don't be discouraged or afraid that, I'm not doing the best, it's just not working out. Take your time, be patient with yourself, and just know, it's never too late to start over, okay? So do not be afraid to start over. You can always start over. Each day is a new day that you can start again and do it better than you did yesterday, okay? So do not be afraid to start over, okay? So for step 4, now that you have identified the changes and gained clarity on maybe why you haven't made these positive changes previously, it is now time to gain knowledge. So step 4 is all about gaining knowledge on the positive change that you want to make in your life. And gaining knowledge may look like a lot of things. So researching about the positive changes you want to make in your life, asking questions to someone who has already made these positive changes in their life. Sometimes when it's good to have someone, I'm not saying you would always have someone who's doing the changes you want to make in your life, but if the event that you see someone that has made this positive change in your life, don't be afraid to reach out and be and comment, or if it's a video that you see, comment and be has anyone done this? Or don't be afraid to reach out to people who've made these positive changes in their life, and you have some questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions and gain knowledge. It's very humbling, it's a humble experience, which is something I'm working on, is humbleness. So it's okay to ask questions, okay? Don't be afraid to ask questions and want to gain knowledge, because that's a great thing always, okay? Yes, okay, so that's all for step 4, all right? Okay, now on to step 5. So step 5 is take all the knowledge that you've gained and customize it to who you are. Now, I've said this in, I believe, my last episode, as my advice for change is for Fun Week Part 3. So if you have not gone back to see the Fun Week series and you are interested in it and what it's about, feel free to go back to the Fun Week series and enjoy and have your fun week and let me know about it. Okay, so back to step 5. But yes, in my last episode, I talked about when an advice for change is customize it to who you are. So say you've seen someone in your life that has created this positive change, or cultivated this positive change that you wanted to have in your life. I don't know why that I naturally use big words And like that's like in my natural vocab, and like some of the time I'm not sure if I actually know what it means, but I say it and then like I'll Google it and I'm like, oh, so like apparently I know my vocabulary is wider than I think. But I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. So let me just say it in a more simpler way. Okay? So what you want to do is you may see something on someone, or they made this positive change that you see in their life that you want to make your personal life. You take the things that you know will work best for you. Because if we copy what someone else has done step by step, odds are it may not work out for us the same way it worked out for them. So what we want to do is take the things that, all the knowledge that we've created, and make like a customized plan on how to change for ourselves, okay? So really it's all about just doing it your way, what works best for you, okay? So for me, y'all know my goal is to grow spiritually and to better my health. So doing it my way would mean involving God and making sure I'm aligned with His will for my life. So I know that if I am aligned with God's will, it's 110% gonna work, okay? If I just do it my way and I'm just doing my will, it's very iffy if my will is aligned with God's will. So doing it the way God has called me to do it is how I've been able to do this podcast in general, and how I'm still able to do this podcast. So that's what step 5 looks like for me. You know, for you, it could be doing it God's way as well, or whatever higher power you may believe in, or whatever is your personal belief system. And this step is more the time to check in with yourself and asking yourself, 2 questions. So along with step 5, I have 2 questions you could ask yourself as well for a journal prompt. And the first question is, what does this positive change look like in my life externally? So when you look at this positive change that you want to implement in your life, what does it look like on the outside? Okay? Knowing that and having that imagery of like, this is what it's going to look like when I make this positive change in my life is a good way to like have more clarity on what you want and what you're looking for. And the second question is, what does this positive change in my life look like internally? So inside, what does this positive change look like on the inside of you? What does it feel like? What emotions or feelings are you thinking that you're going to experience once you do this positive change? How do you feel about yourself, from doing this positive change? And for me personally, like what I want positive change to look like inside for me is that I have confidence and belief in myself more, that I'm more than capable to do what I'm called to do, and have a fearless mentality, so whatever that looks like for you, I always say what is for you, and what is not may be for someone else. So just do it your way. Take these 5 steps, mix it up, do it however you want to do it. I'm just giving a little cute foundation, okay? So do it your way. I really want to know what it looks like in other people's lives to create positive change. So if you're on the journey of wanting to change some things in your life, it's the beginning of a new year, and a lot of times there's things that we want to change or things that we want to do better this year. So I believe that this series is really going to be the basis of wanting to change, in this upcoming time in your life, in this new year, of just wanting to be better and wanting to do better. And I would love for you all to join me on this journey of just making some positive changes in our lives and seeing how it works out. Let us be each other's community. And yes, and that is all for today. But I'm not going to leave you without an L quote. So let's do the L quote of the day. So today's L quote of the day is, some people tend to want to live their worst possible life first before they believe their best life is possible. Now that we are on this journey of change into creating positive changes in our life and wanting to live just honestly on the journey to becoming your best self and living your best possible life, I always felt that people tend to want to live their worst life first instead of just believing that their best life is possible. And this series of change is going to be about believing that you can make positive changes in your life and that there is no time to feel like you can't make those changes that you want to change in your life. Positive change in your life is possible, and believing that should have been step one. But it's kind of the same thing I say for step one, but I'm not gonna say just, because believing in oneself is sometimes really difficult for people to do. But I'm just gonna say in spirit that you have permission to believe in yourself. Because I know for me, sometimes I just need to hear that I have permission to love myself, permission to be happy, so you have permission to believe in yourself and believe in yourself. And if you want to make positive changes in your life, you can do it. You can make those positive changes. You can do all things because God is with you, okay? And with God, all things are possible. And just know that there are going to be people in your life or around you sometimes that are not promoting this belief that you can do all things, okay? And you are more than capable. I'm gonna need for us to silence those voices that are not for us, so we can amplify the voices that are for us, okay? Let's believe in ourselves, because that's the truth, that you are amazing, you are loved, you are everything, okay? And you are more than capable of creating positive change in your life. And you are beautiful. You are beautifully and wonderfully made, okay? Don't let anybody tell you anything any different. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. Let's live in the truth that is God and the truth that is love, okay? Love is the truth, period. So that was the L quote of the day. Oh, I love today's episode. I feel like it went very well. Let me know what you think in the Q&A section on Spotify, and connect with me. I love to connect with all of you. I know we're pretty active on Twitter, okay? So feel free to follow me on social media at LQueenLoves. That's LQUEENLUVZ, and that is for Twitter and Instagram. I'm loving Twitter lately, so feel free to connect with me on there. I'm gonna try to tweet more encouraging things during the week, because I tweeted an encouraging post, and I was like, okay, people liked it. So I'm gonna try to do that a little more throughout the week to give us some encouragement to keep going. And that is all for today. So I think I'm about to do my outro. So I think I kind of did my outro, but let's do it again. Okay, that is all for today. I know today's episode is a little longer, but I kind of like it. I want to make sure I'm spending a good amount of time with all of you, my Queeniez, Kingiez, and Royalties, and my lovely listeners. I love you all so much. Do not forget to connect with me on my social media at LQueenLoves. That's LQUEENLUVZ. This podcast is available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. I love you all, and don't forget to subscribe and share and like and favorite and follow, and let me know how your day is going and how you're feeling today. And I guess I'll put a little poll on a scale from 1 to 10. How are we feeling today? And I hope you have an amazing day, week, month, year, morning, afternoon, night, and just an amazing life. That's what I'm hoping and praying for all of my lovely listeners. I love you all so much, and I'm feeling the support today. So thank you. And once again, this is the Elle Says podcast, and you are listening to the queen herself, Elle. I love you all so much, and I cannot wait to see you on the next episode and talk to you all on the next episode. So see you on the next podcast. Sending you all so much hope, love, and light. I love you all so much. XO moi. And excuse my accent in my outro. It literally happens naturally, and there's honestly no way of fixing it. Okay, love y'all. XO moi.